Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining me again. It's a beautiful day here in Harrisburg, and I've got a really special guest. Guys, get excited. Thank you, Caroline Roblin. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I cannot wait. So today's a special one. So starting off with the news. The news today, again, Yahoo, you've been kind of dropping the ball. But when it comes to things to get excited about in the news, there's two articles. One, Baker Mayfield, this is Rex Ryan again, and it's about how Baker gets the last laugh to ESPN. And the second one is how drama in the Browns-Ravens game leads to OBJ getting choke-slammed by Marlon Humphrey. And there was a fight during the game. Now, as much as I'd love to address these now, I gotta say we're gonna hold off. Terrell's coming on for Friday, and we're going to talk about the Browns-Ravens game and what's going on in the NFL. So our football episode will be coming up, and I'm surely excited for it because I'll tell you what, because I'm an hour away from Baltimore, was in the Devil's Den watching the Browns kick the Ravens' butt. We expected to lose, and we ended up kicking some butt. It was a lot of fun. I got to shake hands with Myles Garrett, so all of you Browns fans be jealous because my weekend was fantabulous. But moving on, because as giddy as that gets me that we kicked the butt of the team that was supposed to take the league, I cannot wait. Terrell's like, I'm going to need a couple days because it still upsets me. And I'm like, good, because it don't upset me.
Oh, so you're Raven.
So anyway, get excited. Terrell's coming on. It'll be a good one. But aside from other news, the other news in the news, because there's not much news. It's all boring and lame. But, here we go. So, all right. So the final article that we got for you guys today, this is not a Yahoo article, but it was some news that was brought to my attention that we found. But if you guys remember, back in our earlier podcast with Danny, we were talking about how Forever 21 was under fire for including in the sale of some pants a free Atkins bar diet bar. It was an Atkins diet bar. And notice it was only the plus-size customers that found offense to this, and then there was a huge uproar because of it. So the news today...
It's okay. Forever 21 just called it an oversight.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an oversight.
But it isn't. I'm sorry, it isn't an oversight.
We bought a ton of Atkins bars, and we're getting that with plus-size pants. It's just an oversight. You don't...
But hold on. It wasn't being given out with plus-size pants. It was all the pants. It was just the fat ones that were upset.
Oh, I thought you were...
Oh, yeah. So that's what kills me. It's like when we were talking to a friend in class who was like, no, it's not fair. It's like, no.
Well, then these article headlines are
you.
leading me on. Forever 21 sends Atkins diet bars to plus-size customers, but arguably not New York Post because they're sending it to all of their customers.
It was just this pair of pants, and it wasn't until this girl did the tweet. It literally uproared over this tweet. This girl goes, oh, my mom ordered this for me, and blah. And it's like, no, honey, it wasn't just for... Not to mention, wouldn't you get excited?
A piece of food I can throw away?
That's fine. You can throw it away. But anyway, the news is Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy and closed 178 U.S. stores because of this whole fiasco.
Did they close the one in Harrisburg?
You know what? I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know.
Not like I shop there anywhere. I once tried on a dress from there, and because I am 5'10" and I have mostly legs, it was literally a shirt. And I was like, okay.
But see, so, I had a friend in class that was getting really upset over it, and she, one of the things she was saying to me was, I think one of the important things to remember about this is people can arbitrarily words. I'm just going to try to, I think one of the important things to remember about things like this is people can arbitrarily, in some people's opinion, retract their belief in a company and its brand equity. It happened with Dick's Sporting Goods when they removed certain guns and accessories from their shelves. It happened when Nike chose Colin Kaepernick as their poster child. Whether we believe it's petty or not, it's a non-issue. Other consumers have the right to believe and retract their business if a company does something that doesn't align with their beliefs. I 100% agree with that. And what, to me, the upsetting part about this situation is this is the consumers talking, right? Like, Forever 21 is going under because the consumer base is
People took their
upset
wallets and
over
went like,
Atkins diet bars. So it's like, one, I'm 100% okay with this. I'm a capitalist. I'm pro. We talked about this before the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm pro voting with your viewership and voting with your wallet. So I'm pro that concept. But as an individual with my own personal moral compass and beliefs, I find issue with people finding issue with a diet bar coming with their pants, right?
Yeah.
As somebody who struggles with going, with picking my clothes for the day and going, oh, this doesn't fit anymore. Like, I'm the same person to go, I also see value in getting that Atkins. Like, I know I don't fit in my pants because of that cheeseburger I had.
I guess I'm literally looking at this for the first time, but like, what was, apart from being an oversight, like, what was the point?
So here's what happened. Okay. Low key, we can interpret what happened. Atkins approached Forever 21 to advertise their new Atkins diet bar that they were going to introduce for the first time.
Because you can still eat carbs as opposed to like eating your burger without a bun.
Right.
But now Atkins is like, you can eat bread, yay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was an ad for this new candy bar they were going to create. Like, it's not a candy, this health bar.
Right.
And just think about like any business. So if you're a business that sells movies and you go, wow, I'm a horror movie. I'm in the horror movie industry. Well, it's the same thing as if I went to a horror, a haunted house and was like, hey, with your ticket that you sell to your haunted house, if you upcharge the ticket $3, I'll give everybody a free copy of my movie.
Sorry.
And so that's literally what happened. Okay. Forever 21 saw a money deal and was like, oh shit, Atkins is going to give us $50 million to give every person this free bar. They weren't seeing 2 steps past Every person that ordered the pants. So that's what kills me is all the articles are, they targeted plus size people. It's like, no,
but
plus size people.
I could have gone in there and been given a Atkins bar and be like,
exactly.
Trash can, thank you.
But that's it. It wasn't targeted towards you guys. It was, you guys were the ones that got upset. And so, one of the comments that I had with Danny, who was on the podcast before, we were talking about it as well, and she was kind of like, I was like, I saw that article you sent me, and that's just so aggravating. And she was like, F Forever 21. Their clothes are literal shit. And I'm like, yeah. I'm not mad that I can't buy 13-year-old girls' underwear anymore. I just think this is a social issue where we're just all going to hell in a handbasket. Like, I agree with you. I just feel like this whole, you have a right to be upset. That doesn't mean I have to agree with you being upset.
Well,
I don't agree with you being upset. So, yes, you have a right to be upset. I just don't think this is a place you should be allowed to be upset.
I mean, if you're buying
plus-size clothes, you should have an Atkins bar. That's it. I don't see a middle ground. Find me a place where someone's plus-size and doesn't need an Atkins bar, and I just don't. Why are we playing this charade? Like,
this article has my favorite word.
Fat shaming. So how about this one? What if we did nicotine shaming? And what if, the nicotine patch company
Since I was 6, I've been nicotine shaming. I used to literally, if we were driving and I saw someone smoking, I'd roll down the window and be like, don't smoke, it's bad for your health. So, since I was a child, I haven't been doing that since I've become an adult. I don't yell at people for smoking, but... So you could shame... Couldn't you skinny shame? Couldn't you...
Well, so here's my thing.
Your brown eyes shame. I mean, I don't know.
In a parallel situation where we eliminate the liberal lines of where we can be allowed to get upset, let's just talk about, nicotine, right?
Okay.
So in a situation where you are an e-cigarette customer, and we have a dichotomy where the e-cigarette company either sends you nicotine patches or sends you a pack of cigarettes, which one would we get upset over, right? I think we would all agree that, whoa, what do you do? These people are trying to get off of cigarettes. What are you doing putting them in? You're killing them. Literally, Canada makes you put a black lung and a decayed heart on the carton because it's so deadly for you.
And we're just maybe don't do it.
Right.
Surgeon's general warning, this might be bad for you.
Right.
But go ahead and do it if you want.
So, the fact that we could go, well, it's a no-brainer we shouldn't be giving cigarettes to somebody who's trying to get off of the thing.
Yeah.
But it's but we're going to get upset. Like, there's just no world where you're supposed to be fat, where you're supposed to look that way or be that way. So I don't understand why we get lost in thinking like we should fight for their right. Yes, you're allowed to be that way. Doesn't mean we need to pretend it's good.
Right. So I think on the one hand, you could argue that as far as nicotine versus being overweight is concerned, you can control your nicotine intake and you can control that, whereas some people will argue, I can't control being fat. But then I see people that argue, you can't fat shame me, let me eat an entire smash cake. And I'm like, well, it's called self-control. Like, I was telling Alex earlier, I got a Fitbit for Christmas, and the one thing it does is it tracks the amount of calories that I put out, so I have been very conscious about the calories I put in, because you might not believe me, because I guess I look like I'm healthy or skinny or whatever, but I, for a very long time, having done ballet and a lot of dance in my past, I've struggled a lot with self-image issues. And so, I mean, since January, I've lost like 13 pounds because I monitor the calories that I intake. Can I enjoy gin? Yes. Can I enjoy a piece of cake? Yes. But it's all about self-control. And if you're going to come up to me and be like, don't fat shame me, let me eat this entire German chocolate cake like the kid from Matilda, I'm going to be like, well, what are you doing? Like,
or how about this one? Taking it a step further, what is it like when somebody tells you you can't have Forever 21 with their Atkins bars because I don't want Forever 21 with their Atkins bars? Because now Forever 21's gone, right? Like, they're bankrupt. 178 stores closed.
Let's be real.
So that person's telling you...
They're out of Harrisburg. Unless they're a Field and Stream or a Bass Pro Shop, they're out of Harrisburg. Like, I'm sorry. The Capital City Mall is terrible. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, look, you get something in your package that you don't want, throw it away. Is that coming from a person who is thin privileged? I don't know. Like... If somebody, I mean, I've had people tell me, like, oh, I don't want whipped cream on my milkshake or pumpkin spice latte or whatever, and they're like, oh, you can get away with a little bit more because you're as thin as a rail. I'm like, do I get offended at that? No, because I guess arguably, like, skinny is the thing we should all strive to be or whatever. But it's a lot about being like, can I accept that, like, let's say this is an Atkins bar. Oh my God, I think I'm a little overweight and I ordered plus size clothing and they gave me a diet bar. Throw it away and get on with your life. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like,
But here's the thing. The fact that it totally changed your opinion when you found out that it was given to everybody and not just the Tubbies.
Right.
That should be enough to show you that, Tubby, you're upset because you know you should be upset, right? Like, the skinny person got their pair of pants that fits fine and, man, their ass looks good in it. And... they don't think twice about the Atkins bar because they don't have these image issues, and you're saying you have the image issue because we tell you it's bad to be fat. The reality is science, biology, and everything we know about health, the pyramid tells you you're the problem.
You're talking about the food pyramid. I think that's been like, the food pyramid we learned in like middle school is like, this is bad. But
don't be eating that much bread. That is
your
true. Your
entire diet can be bread, and you can have a little bitty bit of broccoli, and you'll be fine.
It is funny how that thing was literally like upside down.
And it was like, bread!
That is so
But that's okay, because bread is like...
Hold on. I'm going to pull up the food pyramid. And
But I think your point on, like, if someone like me or any other, like, fit-ish person were to get an Atkins bar, at first I'd be like, is somebody trying to tell me something? Because, I mean, I don't have an Alexa, and I don't have any of these things that, like, actively listen to me, where I literally, I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess, but I'm like, it listens to you all the time, and that's how it knows when you say its name. Who's watching me, who's listening to me to tell me that I need to lose weight, because I am always of the opinion that I always need to lose weight, because I will never be skinny enough to be a prima ballerina. Whatever. But I can also be like, okay, well, I'm happy in the skin that I'm in, or what have you, and I can take the Atkins bar. P.S. Atkins bars are disgusting. Like, why would you even be like, yeah, I think this is a good idea? Like, sorry, Atkins. This video isn't sponsored by Atkins, so I don't really care. But they're gross. Like, I've tried them before, and they're awful. I don't care what Rob Lowe says. They're bad. Okay.
But they should be a lot. Like, that's my thing is, I've gotten free stuff before and gone, I don't like it. so I'm not going to buy it.
Throw it away.
But there's also capitalism. There's also a business advantage to putting that in with the orders, because then there's people who would never have tried it, ever have thought to go to Atkins. That probably is pretty healthy. They're healthy people, and then they go, wow, I really like this. Wow, look at the label. It's got nutrition that benefits me. So I can also see, like, hey, we're not doing so well. Caroline and her friends don't like the taste of them. We probably make some
what would happen?
bars.
Now, I just saw this. It was like getting a baker's dozen of donuts. What would happen if instead of an Atkins bar, they threw in
a candy bar?
A candy bar, or like, I don't think they're real, but those bars for Mean Girls, and she's like, oh, they help you lose weight, but secretly they make you like gain weight like a crazy person. Like, what if you're a skinny person, you got like size 0 petite jeans, and they gave you that bar? Be like, are you trying to tell me that I'm too skinny? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the pendulum swings both ways, and we can't just... I don't know, like, the overweight people, like, make it such a big deal that it's all about them, and I'm like, I know that some of it is genetic, but a lot of it, too, is about self-control,
exactly.
And I'm like, self-control is something you can practice, and if you don't, then there are consequences to that, like eating an entire smash cake that's designed for a 1-year-old that they can't even eat anyway. Continue.
Well, no, it just stinks because, like, I've always felt this way when you would see those, like, TLC shows of my big fat, whatever, my plus life.
And then we, like you were saying earlier, we watch those, which have commercials, which give them money, and then they make more, and then we get mad. Well, you have this, my big fat Greek wedding, or whatever it's called, or 16 and pregnant. Where, like, we want to eradicate teenage pregnancy, but let TLC continue to make a show about teenage pregnancy, because then all the teenagers will want to get pregnant so they can be on the show, which completely defeats the purpose of trying to teach teenagers it's a bad idea right now to get pregnant because you're an idiot. Like, you don't know anything. I was 16 and I was a sophomore in high school, and I didn't know my foot from my hand. Like, I was a moron. I probably still am, arguably, but, like... 12 years older, so hopefully I know a little bit more.
So I'm just 12 years less of an idiot. That's what it is.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be fully mature until I die, and then I'll be like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm dead, so it doesn't matter.
But, there's something to be said, with those shows. I've always sat back and thought, okay, here's a guy that is so big. I'm just thinking of one specific show that I saw, but here was a guy that was so big, he literally couldn't leave his bed. He was stuck in his bed, and his mom would buy him 3 pizzas a day, and so here's a guy who can't get out of bed, who can't fit through his door. So literally, he would starve unless you were not shoveling the food into his mouth. So at some point, I got to go back to your point of nobody made you this way.
How do you get to be like that?
Like you said, I get it. There's some genetics that make it more difficult for other people than for others. But that's just your life struggle, right? Not to bring religion into it, but maybe that's just the hurdle God
that's the
put in front
cross
of
you have to bear.
Bingo. Seriously, though. And so when you look at that, it's like there's this guy on TikTok. It's just this new... It's
an app that I don't understand.
Right.
But
and there's this guy that's like super famous on TikTok because he's like 700 pounds and he's taking everybody on his weight loss journey. And I think everybody's excited. What's interesting, though, is this is the beginning of the journey. So I would have thought this would have snowballed maybe 200, 300 pounds in, and it's like, wow, look how far this guy's going. We're going to follow him through this adventure. This is everybody like, he's going to do it. And I love that this has been something to help motivate him to commit himself to it, but I also can't help but... I have my reserved opinions while I'm listening to it, and when the guy is like, because I'm trying to make this huge... He's showing us all the changes he's making. Mm-hmm. One of them was spaghetti squash. That's huge. Great. Good for you. You're cutting out carbs. You're trying something new.
Like,
this is a new dietary... Spaghetti squash, like turning it into spaghetti to make, spaghetti squash.
Right.
And so it's like, that's a great idea. But then the other changes he makes, he goes, he's huffing. And he's like, well, I'm trying to make changes and I'm trying to show everybody that I'm trying. So I got a notification. I just moved to this new apartment complex and I got a notification that I got a package. So I decided instead of driving there, I decided to walk there. And it turns out that it was maybe a quarter of a block away. It's like, well, I'm sorry, guy.
So it's not like he actually had to walk like 6 blocks up a hill.
So my thing is, guy, you're not 700 pounds because... Forever 21 is mean and society spoon feeds you into being fat. you're fat because you foregoed taking a trip to the frickin' mailbox 100 times a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
you cut out the little things in your life to where you doing the tiniest thing is huge for you.
Right.
We're supposed to be excited. It's like, I've been doing that forever. You can't even get out of your bed. I'm supposed to be excited you did. I get it. I'm not heartless. So I'm going to have affection for people I don't like people making fun of fat people in the gym. There's nothing that disgusts me more than that.
And you can shut the hell up.
I'm going to give you a big hug. We should all be, if there's something to get excited, don't be throwing your banners out because some fat person got excited or upset that a candy bar came with her pants. Throw your banners out and get excited when there's somebody at the gym. Because here's the thing, as somebody whose weight fluctuates, I'll tell you, the gym's the funnest when you're at your highest peak. But that gym is petrifying. It's hard to get that ball rolling again when you go, man, I haven't done my push-ups for a couple months. My arms are weaker. Like, getting that ball rolling again is harder than anything. So when you see someone with the ball rolling, it's like, that is the hardest thing to overcome.
Right.
Not trying to overcome capitalism, giving you a candy bar you don't want.
Yeah.
Because, like, you've said it 100 times and I haven't acknowledged it. It's like, you could throw it away.
Yeah.
You could just throw it away and it's all over.
I mean, I think a lot of the problems nowadays, too, is everything is so psychological. Like, if I am psychologically or emotionally upset, then the world needs to kowtow to my beliefs and my upsettedness. And I'm like, or you can grow some skin and deal with it. Like, we don't need to cater to everybody always being upset because that's just not how life works. Like, I mean, like I was telling Alex earlier, maybe it's working at Disney for 4.5 years and being screamed at every day that I'm like, you really can't say anything that would really upset me anymore. Because, I mean, I've been like, people would come up and like, I would say, I'm sorry, the line to meet Pluto is closed. He's going to be in the parade. He'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. People would grab my name tag and pull it out to take a picture so they could go to City Hall and like complain about me. I mean, the first few months I worked there, I got really upset. But then afterwards I was like, what's the point? Why waste my energy on getting upset about something that is clearly somebody else's problem? Now, I mean, granted, with this, it's like being overweight and being able to control that is not somebody else's problem. That's your problem. Why, okay, now granted, I don't shop at Forever 21. Their clothes are a little too, like I said about the dresses, they just don't fit me. So I don't really give two hoots about it, but you're so many people like shopping there, and just be like, they sent me a candy bar, bankrupt them. I'm like, or deal with it? I don't know, and I think that's a lesson we're not really teaching anybody anymore, is how to deal with problems that they are approached with in a healthy, productive way. It's like, you have a problem, cry about it, complain about it, try and cancel it, and everything will be great. And I'm like, that's never been how the world works. If that's how you think the world should work, then we should just cancel the world. Because, like, God, come on down, bring the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I don't care, just cancel the world, because you can cancel everything that makes you upset, but will that really make you happy? Like, nothing in this world, like, people are always like, oh, we need to get rid of X, Y, and Z, and then the world will be perfect. And I'm like, look, this is me getting on a religious tangent, but every day when I say the Lord's Prayer, there's a line that comes up, Our Father, art in heaven, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I always pause to reflect on that, because I'm like, okay, what does that really mean? Does that mean that we should do exactly what's going... I mean, granted, I don't know what's going on in heaven right now. I'm sure, like, all of my dead friends and relatives are having a party, but, like, should we... Like, we should try and strive to do exactly as God has asked of us, if that's your prerogative and that's what you believe. If not, then I'm sorry that this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but... The human world will never be a utopia. And I don't understand why... I can understand why that is a goal, because everybody can be happy and it will just... I mean, utopia, it's like perfect world. Like, who wouldn't love that? I would love that, but I also am grounded in realism and realize that there are always going to be people, groups of people, whole societies of people that will push against that and will never make it happen. So you are a plus-sized girl, woman, lady, adult, and you order a pair of pants and you get an Atkins bar, and you're upset about for a second because you ask yourself, I mean, I could understand, what message are they trying to send me? I ordered plus-size pants, and they're sending me an Atkins bar? What the hell? Okay, well, I'm not going to listen to what Forever 21 says because they're a corporation. Technically, they are not even human. They're, you know, an entity. Thank you, Bizorgs. But, like, you know, run by humans. So I'm going to throw it away because I don't care what they say. And I'm going to wear these pants. And if I choose not to wear these pants and not to listen to what they do, then I'm just going to stop buying from them.
You know what's interesting, though? You made me realize something else that I haven't really acknowledged myself. Your statement of, I get this candy bar and I go, what are you trying to tell me? What's interesting that I really never acknowledged or confronted in my opinion myself was, they are sending a message.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you can't, I have been kind of actively engaging with this concept in a world where you can add a gift with your purchase and it not be a message.
Yeah.
But your statement has kind of made me have to acknowledge that it must be almost impossible to add a gift, whatever it is, add something in addition to your purchase, and it not carry some sort of message. And so in that respect, for there to have to be a message, that means the message has to be, sorry, you're fat. So, like, now I'm starting to push back on myself and go, if you can't add a gift without it being a message, then you as a corporation might need to be pretty damn particular and cautious on what that gift is. Clearly, because it just bankrupted 178 stores.
And I kind of question, too, I'm like, I don't know who was behind the decision to... And because at the end of the day, it was more of an advert, I guess apparently it was more of an advert for Atkins than, you're fat, eat this Atkins bar. Who in marketing at Forever 21 in today's society and culture with all of this, feel bad for me, I'm fat, feel bad for me, I'm a woman, I'm a this, I'm a that. Who in their right mind was like, let's put a diet bar? And also, granted, it's like, oh yeah, but we're putting in everybody's box, so it's okay. But it's like, look, no one in their right mind should have been like, yes.
You're right. That I can agree with, especially with, like you said, the climate we're in today and everything, and it's just like, but you know what sucks is it's so clear.
Somebody. Like, you could put a bag of candy. Okay, disclaimer, I'm in love with candy corn. Like, you could pour a whole bag in my mouth and I'd be the happiest person alive. It's one of those things, you love it or you hate it. You could put a bag of candy corn in a box of pans, and people be like, you're either giving me the greatest gift of Halloween or you're trying to poison me.
So what's the mess? So it's Halloween time. Atkins or Forever 21, you order a pair of pants, and they give all the skinny people candy corn. Is that
I would rejoice. I love candy corn.
So that's my thing, is maybe Forever 21 in that position is just like, hey, I was just trying to be nice. It's fall.
I was just giving you free food.
But at the end of the day, there will always be one person who reads what they want it to be.
You're telling me that I'm too skinny, and you're giving me candy corn, which is very
and then they're left without 178
sugar.
Stores again. So at the end
really
of the day,
I'm also like, is that a lot of stores? Like, they're 50 states, and they're how many Forever 21
so
stores?
So it's just, like that's like 2 or 3 for every state. Which isn't a whole lot.
No, but
still, that means if you have a region,
think about Wyoming,
you've got
the
probably
least populated state.
Well, I'm sure there's states without any, so I'm sure it's
probably
go
just
over
over the state lines and be like, it's like, going into Delaware to buy alcohol and then coming back up across the lines because they don't have the alcohol. I've never done that. But
I'm not going to say we didn't do that in Ohio.
Fireworks
Grain
season.
alcohol is illegal in Ohio. Miami University was literally 5 minutes across from Indiana. We did not go to Indiana for grain alcohol.
Or like fireworks season, it's like, Pennsylvania's laws are so wonderfully archaic. But, granted, when it comes to fireworks, I don't think any old Joe Schmo on the 4th of July should be beer in one hand, fireworks in the other. But that's just me.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian's gonna kill himself.
But, you can literally just go into Maryland. It's not like we have border patrol at every state line. Like, you go do what you want in another state, bring it back, and no one's going to say... now I'm, encouraging illegal activity, which is great.
No, but at the end of the day, there's validity to what you're saying in principle. At some point, I look at kind of these situations, and I go, okay, one of the things I realized today was when I got accepted in a law school, there was a law school I got accepted to in North Carolina, and they sent me a box with grits in it. It was a thank you gift.
Oh, I love grits.
I got a box. It had a giant sack of grits in it.
Are you serious?
And a thank you card. And, it was all the pander to get me to go to their school. And I'm sitting there and I'm
sold
like...
at the grits.
And we were laughing. We were laughing like, yo, you're going to go to North Carolina. You already know the place you're going when they're sending you grits.
Because it's North Carolina, but it's really south.
South Carolina,
It's beyond the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah. So it's one of those, like, but I didn't ask for grits. And I'm sorry, there's, just like, we say, we know who, there's stereotypes. I didn't know about the stereotype until I watched Food Fight with Seth Rogen.
Or even my cousin Vinny. Like, in the scene when they're like, well, what do you got? You got breakfast, and he puts the lard on the thing, and then he gives them their breakfast, and Vinny's like, what's this? And he's like, that's a grit. And he's like, what is a grit? He's like, you never heard of them hominy grits. They're made of corn or whatever. And Vinny's like, okay. So even there's that huge dichotomy versus like a dirty northern Yank and a well-grown southern boy, with the grits. And so it's, arguably I'm like, I don't know that like stereotyping northerner Yanks versus, Confederates is like one thing versus like fat versus skinny. Because anymore people are like, okay, I'm just from America. Like, I don't care.
I like the way you took it because from what I've known grits to be kind of like a stereotype food like fried chicken or watermelon.
Oh.
Not South like, but I like it that way better.
I just assume that it's a
blur
Southern
the
thing.
lines. No, but I was going to say, listen, I was told this morning by a girl that girls need to be allowed to be offended about being fat because they're the only ones that have body issues.
Is this true, though?
It is.
I'm sorry. As a woman, I'm coming out to say something.
I'm not allowed to even ask a girl out that's taller than me.
So I'm out of the... Just kidding.
No, but look at that. Automatically, girls are allowed to go, nope, swipe left, you're shorter than me. You're shorter than... It's like, why is that cool, but I can't go, nope, you're just too big for my liking.
Alex, it's because of the patriarchy. I'm totally joking.
And I am the patriarchy with my wiener.
And I don't have a dick, so... But, no, I was literally about to make that point. I'm like, why is it okay for a woman to be like, you're too fat, you're too ugly, you're bald, you're shorter than me, you're XYZ? No. But the second a man's like, you're not tall enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not pretty enough, a woman is allowed to be like, like, I don't know if it is because, like, for so long, like, in the ancient times when women were property. But at that point, did it even matter, like, how pretty your woman or how beautiful, well, beautiful and pretty synonymous, but, like, how skinny or how short or how tall, she was your property, so it really didn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm sure there was some, like, there had to be some physical chemistry, but... And, on the other hand, though, like, how come guys can get away in the summer with lawn mowing their yards without a shirt on and their beer belly sticking, like, 5 feet beyond their belt, and a woman can't even take her shirt off without being, like, yelled at? I don't know.
You know what's funny is Chelsea made the same complaint today, and I'm like, listen... None of us in this modern world are going to be upset the second you start doing it. It's the old assholes who are waiting to die.
That's true.
Like, you were just waiting for you to go so we can let these ladies be topless again.
I know. I'm like, I would wear a bra, but like, I would happily just take my top off to mow the lawn in the middle of summer. But like, for some reason that's taboo, but like an old fat man that needs a bra for himself is allowed to do, and I've always been like, well, why is that okay? But I think it is very much like this generational shift. But then I always question, like, women have these like perfect men that we see in our minds. Like, I would marry Tom Hiddleston if he asked me, but so I have my standards. So why can't guys have their own standards? That's something that boggles my mind, because I'm like, why? Well, also because we're all about equality, so if we really want to be equal, everybody should be able to have their own standards. But,
it's true.
Like, I think about, like, Sports Illustrated. They did, like, a plus-size edition, and some guys were like, this is ridiculous, this isn't what I want to see. And then, like, the plus-size community was like, you're so mean! And I was like, because... That's not what a guy wants to see. Like, love him or hate him, sometimes I watch Steven Crowder just because I think he's freaking hilarious. Like, I'm like, look.
You are the only person to sit next to me and know who he was. Amen. Look, I'm going to tell you what, low-key, I'm doing this so I can grow up to be Steven Crowder. That upsets you. I'm going to have my own opinions. They're not going to be his crazy bias opinions.
Yeah, he's
but
a little...
I'll tell you what.
Sometimes I'm like, dude,
so
you gotta
the
get
Change
back
My
on
Mind desk, love them all, except for, listen, again, I am pro-abortion, but when he does his, what was it, his on... I'm not going to do them all, but the one that abortion always kills me, that one's... There's some really great ones.
I'm like, whoa.
That one, the one that, I think it was something, one of them was about Trump, but the one that really got me was like the abortion one where I was like, I don't know if I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
But he's playing a character. He's just so... Sorry, I keep throwing my pen at you.
God,
he's
what are you really trying to
very right that he's playing a character.
Yeah.
And so I don't think some of his opinions are truly his opinions.
I don't think so either.
But continue.
But
with Steven Crowder,
so I
the
watch
sexy
him sometimes.
hunk that's ripped and he's so freaking smart. He's the best talker out there.
All right. I don't necessarily agree with all of that, but so I do enjoy watching his content every once in a while, sometimes just to laugh at it, and sometimes because I'm genuinely interested in what he has to say. And he was talking once about this whole Sports Illustrated issue that they came out with, and it was plus size. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking about it. But he all sort of hearkened it back to, like, our, like, primal instincts, like... When you lust after a person, what are you lusting after? You're usually lusting after someone who's, like, fit and healthy and won't have a coronary when they're having sex. Like, you know, like...
Or not even that. Like, I want somebody, one, that aesthetically appeals to me, right? Like,
yes.
There's something I can't describe.
Does everybody forget about that? Like, everyone's like, it's a great, like, it's what Beauty and the Beast taught us all. It's not about what's on the outside. It's about what's on the inside, which is a beautiful lesson, and I think is very important, because it's Gaston, I mean, as a cartoon character, I guess he was okay looking. Luke Evans was, like, I don't know. He was like a skinny bitch. Like, I'm like, you couldn't find a muscular man to play Gaston. Don't get me started.
Should have been The Rock. Who are we?
Don't get me started on that review or on that movie, because I think it's terrible. So some of the points, but like, again, with the whole, like, it should be what matters. Yes, obviously, what you are on the inside and what you are as like as a human being, like, outside of what you look like, is very important. Like, I wouldn't want to date, you know, a Tom Hiddleston lookalike just because he looked like Tom Hiddleston, but was secretly, like, the biggest jerk on the face of this earth. So there has to be, like, a nice, you know, like, meshing of the two. But some of I just looked up this, like, Steven Crowder, like, highlights from this video. Some of the points that he makes that I think resonated a lot with me. Again, as someone who you might not think has struggled with some body positivity issues in the past, but these have spoken to me. So what's the message to young women here? It's okay to be big and beautiful, diabetic size even, because lest we forget that, like, with obesity comes a lot of medical problems, which I don't think I'm sure a lot of people realize, but they always try to pass it off as, like, what's the phrase? Healthy at every size. And I'm like...
Which is so wrong.
But you can't be the size of a cow and be healthy, but you also can't be a skeleton and be healthy, so you can't be healthy.
To further your point, we just need to point out the one statistic that both of us knew on our own accord, that over 80% of health insurance goes towards fat-related medical expenses.
I think we should call it obese-related, because fat's subjective.
I'm calling you fat, okay? So that's what it is. Subjectively, my objective is that you're fat. No, but for real though,
right.
The majority of medical expenses, right? It's not, we sit here and we go, the biggest, I don't know, hurdle for humanity right now is cancer.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, guess who's killing more people than cancer? Big Macs. So, at what point do we go, this isn't back to my point that I was trying to allude to with cigarettes. Mm-hmm. At which point that we go, all right, all people with cancer... All the people here's a list of all the people on chemotherapy. As a gift for their chemotherapy, you should give them, I don't know, cancer bars. It's like, what are you doing giving somebody with cancer bars? Maybe we should give them anti-cancer bars. And nobody would get upset with that because we all agree there's a cancer problem. But we're going to pretend like there isn't a health problem in America when that's 80% of our expenses.
Well, I mean, and you go to other countries and you see the stereotypes that they make about Americans. Sticks. And they're like, Americans, they got their burgers, they got their guns, and they got their fat people. I mean, like, what other...
Yo.
You know, you stereotype like the French. They got their berets and they got their baguettes and the Eiffel Tower. Got their Germans and their angry language. You got the Americans. They're all apparently cowboys. And we all eat burgers every day of our lives. Like, that's our main staple. And we're all fat. And we all own guns. Like, the fact that being overweight and obese is part of a stereotype of an entire country is disgusting.
And should say something, right? But we get upset when that entire country is triggered by healthy bars.
I'm like, look, if you want to be upset about an Atkins bar, do a ceremonial burning of it. I don't know. Be like, F you and your stereotypes. But I think you also have to acknowledge that, like, this whole thing with, like, the Sports Illustrated, what do you usually see in a Sports Illustrated magazine? Not that I know, because I don't get them, but, like, scantily clad women, very athletic women, skinny women, big-breasted women.
And also very athletic men! There's no fat men in the Sports Illustrated magazine.
Guys in Sports Illustrated?
Sports Illustrated has 12 months of the year. 11 of those months are all men. It's all sports. It's all baseball, football, basketball.
And then you get that one
and that 1 month a year. But it was like, let's not pretend that wasn't part of the advantage of getting a Sports Illustrated prescription.
What does that say about the target audience of Sports Illustrated?
It's not you.
So it's not obese women. And then so when obese women are like, we need our own magazine of Sports Illustrated because we want to force people to accept the way we look. And then people are like, oh, that's not really what I want to look at. And then you get mad about it. Like, why? You're forcing yourselves on people. You're like, you must accept me. And I'm like, no, I don't. You don't have to accept me. So why do I have to accept you? Like, let's see. Fat models are not demanding that bigger women be judged on their talents. I'm not going to finish the like. Let's get this
Don't judge me on my talent. Judge me on my
that
roles.
He uses that I'm not going to use.
Gelatinous.
I'm not using that.
I will.
Okay.
It's not a bad term. It just means you're full of jello.
Okay, can I also say, being somebody that's skinny and going into our school, which is air conditioned even when it's 2 degrees and snowing outside, is brutal.
It's freezing.
If you have that extra layer of fat and...
There's an advantage there.
You are so lucky because you don't... I'm sorry, that probably is really awful for me to say, but I literally, I mean, you've probably seen it. I brought in blankets before because I get so cold in that building. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's terrible. You can't even dress appropriately for that building. It's either really hot when it's cold outside or it's super cold when it's hot outside. It's like you can't... And then you're freezing or you're sweating. There's just no in between. But I wanted to acknowledge one of the points that you were alluding to about how, like, maybe sure it can start outside, or maybe sure inside matters. It definitely does. But it's irrefutable that all of these connections, all of these relationships, all of these affections start with the aesthetic appeal of the two-dimensional outside, right?
I see someone that's attractive, and I'm like, I'd like to go talk to them because I'm physically attracted to them.
Bingo.
I don't, like, talk to them on the phone and be like, you sound like a really nice person. Maybe I would. I don't know. But, the other thing I was just thinking about was, like, a lot of these obese women who sort of speak about this healthy at all sizes or anti-fat shaming or what have you. What is their personality outside of, I'm fat, love me?
Well, here's my other thing. Like, listen, this is kind of
And if you don't love me, F you. I'm like...
Well, that's the other thing that really sucks about Democrats, blue people, leftists, and the way they do their politics, is it's all identity politics. Blue? Yeah, exactly. I know, what the hell? This should be a red table. God. Anyway.
Purple. Just nice
purple.
evil.
Mix the middle.
Purple.
I love that. So I'm going to try to edit this, or I'm just going to call it purple. Isn't that how the world works? I just call this purple enough, this is a purple table. And then it becomes fact.
I was just going to say, I'm not going to say it.
But anyway, one of the things I
because you take notes and I'm just like...
Right, no. I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but the one thing I was going to acknowledge was when you were saying how, it should start on the outs, or, it should... The inside should be the most important thing.
Right, it shouldn't just be about your looks.
The one thing that I have to say about that I've kind of learned about, and I've always been pro-gay rights growing up. Like, it's just been something innate. When we were younger and you're finding out they don't have any rights, they can't get married, everything else, it was always like, our generation was like, why? Or like, so when I came home from college and found out that gays can get married now, it was like, well, no, duh, this should have happened a while ago. Like, to my dad, it was a thing to talk about. We had a long talk for hours. It was a thing for him, because he's also 50-some years old, and it changes.
Young parents.
For me, it's like, oh, it took me to be 20 for the world to catch up to me, or, 19. So for me, it was just innate. But was something that has furthered that in me was really getting to know a friend here at law school who was one of my best friends here and was gay, and we'd have these conversations where I'd come to realize, the way I look at a girl, and I've had this conversation with, like, other friends, Danny and stuff, it's like, I can just having an affection for a female body, right? Like, guys get shit on all the time because they're just horny all the time, that's all they think about, and it is kind of it. But the sad
also
part is,
perpetuated that stereotype? Oh, there's only one thing guys think about.
Right, just like, this table's purple, that's all that, at some point it's also perpetuated. But at some point you also go back and go, well, if this is how I feel, right? Like, I don't know how you feel about guys or girls, but if there's one thing that I know about, is I know how I feel. And if this is how I feel about girls, any girl, I just see a girl and I can't help but unconsciously maybe look at her butt or, something gross, whatever it is wired in me. So when I know this is how I feel, this is how I operate, my aesthetic is like two pretty people, and then I try to get to know them and everything else. It's like when the relationship starts there's no world where I should look at a gay person who doesn't feel that way, or in fact feels the opposite, and try to fit them in a box. Like, fit this triangle square through the, or triangle through the square hole. It's like, no, this is not in their making, and us telling them that it should be in their making or whatever is so disillusioned and untethered from reality that it really made me realize that, like, if there was a parallel world where I felt this way and people came to me and was like, you need to sleep with men or you need to find men attractive, that is so, like, I can't stress, like, it's because, again, I can't let you into my head and see, I can't stress enough how unattractively or how just gross that is to me, that I go back and go, why could we ever do that to a gay person? If that is how they feel. So I guess that was just a long-winded way of going, yes, we need to care about people's insides. But it's almost irrefutable that it all begins. The seed that grows into the tree is always, I thought you were pretty. Like, literally, you caught my eye.
I mean, how many movies have been made about, oh, this person was gorgeous, but they were a jerk, so we don't like them. This person was ugly, but they were really nice. Or this person was average looking, and, like, I would have maybe dated them anyway, but they ended up being really, really nice, so I went out with them. To deny that somebody's physicality and the way that they look has nothing to do with how you perceive them is a lie. Like, you can tell yourself that all day long, be like, oh, I don't judge people by the way they dress. Oh, I don't judge people by how skinny or how fat or how long their hair is or how dirty they are. You're always going to be making innate judgments. Like, you're always going to be like, oh, I wonder if that person had a shower in the past 3 weeks. I wonder if that person just had an entire cake for dinner last night. I wonder if that person hasn't eaten in 3 weeks. So just to deny that you can or you won't or you don't see, something like, oh, Caroline, I mean, I've had it, like, I mean, what is this, being, like, tall shaming? Like, oh, Caroline's really tall, she must be really good at basketball or volleyball, when in fact I suck at sports. Like, I could take that and be like, how dare you?
That's a comment about my height.
Dare you?
Yeah, no,
like,
seriously.
That's heightist. Like, how dare you discriminate or, like, make judgments about me about my height? Do I take it personally? No. Okay, whatever. I'm tall. Like, you think I haven't been judged before because I'm tall? Like, I could never be a Disney princess because I'm taller than 5'8". Like, I don't care anymore. Like, and it's all, you can't, I don't know. I think a lot of the problem, too, is, like, so much of what we do and how we perceive ourselves is based off of affirmations from other people, and that's why I think social media is terrible. But that's a completely different story for another day. But, like, I mean, so much, I don't have a Facebook anymore. But when I did, it was like, I would post a picture or I'd post a status, and how many likes or loves that I got meant the world to me. And I was like, how sad is that? That, like, somebody unconsciously even just pressing a button, somebody died in my family, oh, I scroll over to the sad face. you're not going to call me, you're not going to text me, you're not even going to shoot me a message. Like, all you're doing is leaving me a sad face. But to me, nowadays that a smiley face or a lovey face can speak so much to how you are supposed to feel. I think that's just why we're such big wussies nowadays. I'm like, no one can take criticism without being like, well, that's racist, that's misogynist, that's fat shaming, that's skinny shaming.
What's funny is they take it even a step further. Is even now we're taking where you don't like it. Like, if this is somebody I know and they don't hit the like button, now we even take that
they
as
automatically
offense.
hate me.
Yes,
I posted this and it may, it's like my little dig at them or something, or I'm posting this and it's really vague, but it's about how I like a person, and if they don't like, I know that, like, I've done it before, where I would post a status about, like, being so happy because XYZ, and if the person that I was thinking about when I wrote it didn't like it or otherwise react to it, I would be devastated.
Yo.
Why? Like, there was
even
for
a night,
that.
in the middle of the night, I went and wrote, like, a note to myself because I wanted to bring it up again, how... I was going through TikTok. Again, I only am on TikTok because I needed to find a way to project this podcast more. So I was like, oh, this is a new social media avenue that I'll try. And it has been really, really entertaining because it's literally just like a new modern version of Vine. But the only reason I bring TikTok up again is it's flooded with little kids. Like, it's got a bunch of older people, but Vine has also made it very clear that the masses that controls what's popular, everything else is all kids. Mm-hmm. And so when you come across these, there's a For You page, which is like a discover page of all, like, the popular videos or whatever. On this page, you'll come across random kids who have, like, no likes, right? And they're just crying, pleading, I just want likes. I need likes.
I don't know if you could be the next Stalin or Hitler, but if you like my content, I will feel better. Like...
No, but what's funny is here's a kid that's just like, their verbatim was, I'm just so upset right now and I will be so happy. Like, you will make my life. Can you please just hit the like button? And so, taking a step back, what do we learn in biology? Biology has taught us that there's just as much endorphins released by a like than there is from your first child being born.
Are you? Where the hell?
Hold on. So, okay, keeping that statistic in mind... My biology professor, trying to talk, this is high school biology in 10th grade, to talk his students out of enjoying marijuana, said, there are 2 life events that have released the most endorphins in my life. My wedding and my child being born. Marijuana releases 10 times more endorphins than that.
Well,
but it's unnatural. And literally all of us were like, are we supposed to not want to do this now?
Like, we were all
like,
I'm not going to get married, I'm not going to have kids, I'm just going to smoke joints for the rest of my life. Like,
so the only reason I bring that dumb little anecdotal story up is it's like, here's the biology guy telling us that the 2 biggest endorphin releasers, for him at least, were being married and his kid being born. And then, so I just have that little file in my brain. But then when I read the statistic that a like releases just as much endorphins as your child being born, and that being one of the biggest endorphins a human can naturally get, it's like, no wonder we're addicted to likes. We're sitting here like crackheads, like it, please, like it, like me.
Well, even when I still have an Instagram. Sometimes, like, I'll post things and I'm like, I look really cute in this picture. And if I don't get more than, like, getting into the double digits is exciting for me. I'm like, oh my god, 11 likes? Wow. Like, if I get, like, if no one likes it, I'm like, wow, I must look really ugly. And I'm like, hold on. So, like, pause and rewind and be like, no, you don't. Like, okay, maybe you do secretly, and you just think you look good because you took the selfie and whatever.
As you should, though.
I don't know. Like, the fact that we are just so focused on, like, did somebody comment on this? Did they like this? And, like, if they didn't like this... the fact that releases more endorphins than having a freaking baby... I'm like, look, I don't like kids. Like, I'm not a big baby person. But, like, I'd rather... I don't know. That's
it's scary, but it also, there's a legitimate biological reasoning to this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we are addicted to likes, and it isn't because we're untethered from reality.
Chemicals.
Like, there's something biologically going on in our body where we are, I don't know, almost created to be addicted to this kind of thing. So, I mean, I don't know what to... I mean, that's just information you don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
But it's just like, at this point, we know there's an addiction to these types of likes. How can we... But how do we... You can't keep your... If you were a parent that decided to keep your kid off of Facebook, or keep your kid off of TikTok, or now your kid is sitting there... While all the friends are being stimulated, conversating with each other and alive and outside of school still being connected, while your kid is in his bedroom alone, knowing everybody's still connected and losing that connection, it's like, as a parent, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
I look at parents today, it makes me sick. I would love, I bet I could find it. I don't have the time to search for it, but I would love to have the statistic of how much money franchises like Applebee's makes off of the little TVs that they have at the table that you pay $2.99 for,
oh my
so
God,
your kid can play games the whole time.
Or like Red Robin and stuff.
Every place has them, so clearly they're working and they're making bank off of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, here we are in the future, and we've replaced parenting with an iPad.
Oh, don't get me started on parenting.
No, but for real, it's like parenting's gone out the... But as a parent in this modern world, so I guess this is this is a what like things to ponder. What do you do as a parent? How do we live in this modern world?
Move to Siberia. I don't know. Like, can't do that. I'm not doing that. But like, first of all, I don't want children. Second of all, if I did have a child... That's a really good question, because I mean, like you said, like you send your kid to school, you've kept them off of their phones or their iPads or their social media, and you send them to school where everybody else is connected via their phones, their iPads, their social media, and your kid feels out of the loop. Like, do you want them to be a hermit? Or, it was just so much easier when, like, my mom was like, when I was a kid, my mom would just send me outside and then I'd have to go back for dinner and she didn't care about me. Not that she didn't care about her, but like, whatever, just go play outside. Whatever, I'm gonna make dinner.
Yes.
But now it's like...
But how can you... But what sucks for you now as a parent is you don't have the luxury of going, just go outside and play with them.
Well, because if a kid goes walking around the neighborhood, someone's going to be like, oh my God, this kid's walking around the neighborhood by themselves, what's going on?
That's true too. But like, even that, what sucks is while he's outside walking in the neighborhood, everybody else is inside plugged in.
Or outside playing Pokemon Go.
That's it too.
Something.
Well, hey, at that point, I'm okay with it. Get outside and...
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I wonder what would happen if, like, all social media sites just, like...
stopped working or existing, or...
Yeah.
That was good.
I mean, it would be great just to see what would happen. The world would probably implode. Because what would we do? Because people are so conditioned and so used to getting those endorphin releases from the likes, from the comments, from the loves, from the reactions. What happens when you cut that off? Like, does everybody just go insane and kill themselves? Like...
Well, look at how people lost their minds when Instagram decided to take away... showing how many likes you have. Now if I go to anybody's post, it doesn't show how many likes they have, it shows how many views they have. And only the person who posted it knows how many likes it got, because they felt suicide rate and depression was related to how many likes they got, so they decided it was best not to show it.
Okay, or maybe we could teach our kids that, like, there are other things in the world to get upset about than, like, how many likes you have on Instagram? I don't know. Like, that's a whole different thing.
You're right, though.
Stop catering and pandering to this I'm so upset culture and be like, deal with it. And if you can't, oh no. Like, natural selection. What happened to Darwin? Like, if you learn literally... Now, I'm not obviously promoting any of this at all. Like, suicide is a very serious subject that I am obviously not an expert to talk about. If you are so upset that you are not getting the likes that you think you deserve, so you kill yourself, don't you think there's something a little bit deeper going on in there than just, oh no, I didn't get the likes that I wanted on Instagram and maybe I need some serious help?
Or how about this one? Back to your point of Darwinism. When we had a flock of birds on a new island and the bugs to eat the birds were deep into the tree, so the only birds that could get it were deep, thinly, long-beaked birds. Well... it sucked for those stubby, fat chode beaks because they just died. They couldn't eat the bugs, but that was Darwinism. So what I think is going on is we have all these humans never before have we all been connected. Instant stimulation. For the first time in humanity, you're all plugged in together. You all have instant knowledge of everything going on everywhere. Just like when I gave a pill to everybody and I was like, all right, here's the pill that's going to cure whatever, X. And then, oh shit, out of 100 people, 3 of them had heart attacks. Well, at some point it's like, yeah, this isn't a pill that's going to work for everybody. We're trying to get for the masses. So it's like, yeah, maybe the internet, maybe instant connection, constant information is too overwhelming for 1% of the people, but so to your point, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sitting here pretending like I'm heartless for that 1% that can't handle what's going on. But
and I don't I don't know. Like, no one should have to be so upset that they decide to take their own life. That should never have to be a thing.
I agree.
But the fact that that's a reality, I feel like says something more about their mental condition than the effect that Instagram has on the general populace. Like, if I put it, like I was saying earlier, like, if I get more than 10 likes, I'm ecstatic. But, like, if I get no likes, I'm not like, oh, no, my life is worthless. It's Instagram. Like, but then again, I also like, as someone who is on meds for, like, anxiety and depression, I can understand, like, the dark places you go in those situations. So I'm not completely discounting that experience because I'm, like, I've never gotten to that point, but, like, I've had bad thoughts before. Like, it's not fun, and, like, I understand, like, you just kind of get in this rut that you can't get out of, but that's when you seek help, and that's when you talk to people, and that's when you, look, I understand that everyone's like, look, the perfect medication is a walk in the woods, and I'm like, well, F you, like, no, for me it's not, like,
no,
walk
because
in the
psychology
woods is
shows
nice.
us for most people it legitimately is a chemical imbalance in their head.
Right, so I need drugs for that. A walk in the woods might help me for 10 minutes, and then when I'm done with that walk in the woods and I go back to my house where all of my problems are, which is not currently, I love my house, but, like, you know, or whatever, like, I need something that helps me, and it happens to be drugs. So
no, but
I submitted to the world that I'm on.
No, but seriously, in addition to that, you brought up earlier that getting rid of Facebook was one of the best things for you. I can tell you getting rid of Facebook out of my life was one of the best things for me. It improved my mental health severely, and then I come to find out that Facebook has been doing experiments on the human populace, not releasing the information to the government, and in their studies they learned that Facebook, the user, uses Facebook more when they're upset. They engage in comments and things more.
Because you're seeking some sort of validation or affirmation.
Well, not even that.
I'm upset. Well, that was why I did it.
Well, not even that. What it is
like,
okay. You'll see something that you disagree with, upsets you, and that's what you comment on.
Right.
Instead of the things that you agree with. So Facebook's algorithm is actually to show you things that upset you more. It's literally made that way. So we were talking about, crazy people and them being upset. I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up. Listen, at the end of the day, you just gotta live life,
Yeah. You can't let an Atkins bar upset you that much. Like, I'm sorry.
Hurdles and obstacles will be there no matter what.
Yeah.
And trying to eliminate the obstacle instead of trying to go over it is gonna only make you weak.
Yeah.
So,
yes, 100%.
But, okay, I think those were great. Listen, we spent literally practically the whole podcast talking about the news articles. I love it. So I got a question for you. Now we're here wrapping it up at the end.
Great.
Would you rather be able to freeze time or travel in time?
What? Okay, so now would I rather be able to
Okay, there was that Nickelodeon movie where, I don't know if you remember, where the kid could pause time.
Oh my god, no, I remember that. I forget what it was, Clock Stoppers?
But then, and then we come to find out, like, the big twist at the end that, like, helps him defeat the issue. I don't even remember any of it.
Wasn't it like he could freeze time, but he wasn't frozen in time? He was just moving infinitely faster than time.
That was it. So, I always think back to that, of, like, I guess technically, that thing showed that technically you can never actually freeze time, but I think of that when I think of freezing time.
I was
like,
just drunk.
When he would, like, move the water droplets and...
Or didn't they, like, help his friend because his friend, like, sucked at DJing, so they, like, helped him DJ? Which didn't make any sense. Anyway, I could go into, like, the logistics of why that doesn't make sense. But would I rather be able to freeze time or move about in time? For what purpose?
So here's the thing. I think, well, just in general, just what would you rather have? So for me, I'm thinking time travel would be the greatest because you could go to all the different times.
Yeah, that's
It'd be
my
the
answer,
greatest
but-
for your aesthetic knowledge of just like your.
I go back to the 1950s and go to like a little malt shop and have my little cute little poodle.
Or
skirt
I
and
want to
stuff.
see dinosaurs today. Like, I could see it all. I mean, your knowledge would probably be the greatest expansion of knowledge a human has ever had because you would be able to literally live, experience, and learn all the human generations.
I always hesitate about traveling in time though because I'm always worried about
messing up.
am I gonna mess up the time? Yeah, like if I go back in time and I stop the assassination of JFK,
so let's
what's
live
gonna
in a
happen?
world where you can live about these time periods, and you, in this theory, are trained well enough
That I
to
won't alter
have an
time?
experience and not alter time.
Then I'm
That
traveling
means-
through time.
That means you're not like actually changing things, but it means that also you can go to the supermarket and not cause some like quantum change.
Like, isn't like the butterfly flaps his wings
Right.
in Tokyo and there's an earthquake in California? You're right. So if that was the case, I don't care about freezing time. I want to go explore. Like,
Well, so here's the thing.
real.
I have a dichotomy with this question because I feel like time travel is the best to expand your personal knowledge, but I also think freezing time right now is probably the best at excelling you in today's like in your human existence at this
You
time
think
right
way
now.
too much about this.
You
I'm
would
like,
be able to excel. So think about it. I'd be able to rob banks. I'd be able to steal test answers. I'd be able to literally do everything.
These are not
Now,
the things I think about. When I think about freezing
I'm
time,
not saying I'm about to do them. I'm just saying I'm considering what I could do with time freeze is a lot more in terms of what I could get done today than going back in time. But I want to see the dinosaurs.
and I want to go back and like go to a malt shop in the 1950s. So like
That's fair.
I don't care. You know, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, whether I can freeze time or not.
I like that. That's a good.
Like,
good-
even if I could, like, ostensibly freeze time and rob a bank and get $1 million richer, like, okay, but then I'll always have the guilt that I just robbed a bank. Like, so I will never, like, you know, you
Okay,
think about
I
this.
don't literally mean you're gonna rob the bank, but let's say you're like running a race and you could just go boop, and then I take like
I
4 or
will
5
for-
more steps, and then I go boop, and I'm like ha 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 ha.
Like it.
Yeah.
No, but then I don't know. I am a very guilt-ridden person. I would always feel so guilty that I did that, and I just that's why I could never be a criminal defense lawyer or a prosecutor. I would
You're not
forever
going to
live
be
with the guilt.
guilty sitting there in the balcony seeing Sir Abraham Lincoln taking one to the back of the dome? Just tush.
But history, man. Like, if I were to go, why would I? Okay, first of all, why would I want to travel back to that moment? Second of all, like, even if some macabre part of me was like, I'm going to back to the moment when Abraham was assassinated. Like, I think would I like put my head in front of the bullet? No, but like.
I wouldn't. I'm like, dude, this is the path it's supposed to take.
Okay, so right, like, why would I go back and?
Dude, if
know.
this doesn't happen, we have way too much cotton, so we need you, my dude. All right, would you rather live without music or without television?
Okay, do TV shows have music? Like, would a television
Oh.
show, would The Office come on and have its opening titles but have no music?
Let's say in this hypothetical, you cannot have television without music. So you will still get your music through the television, but it's literally just during that show. How they use it to give tone and attitude to the...
But I can't have
Can't have
Bach or
Beyonce.
Beethoven or the Four Seasons or...
Nope. Unless The Office decides to use that.
But if there's a world with no music, how would they have it?
They have it. They have it. The television people have it.
It's my own soul. Would I rather have a world with no music or no television?
I mean, you literally debunked this question before it even started, which is upsetting because there's literally no television without music. So what we've learned is
No.
I'd rather live without television.
I think I would too. Because, I mean, music can... I'm going to sound like a friggin', I don't know, art student. I'm like, music can take you so many places.
But it can. I'm telling you, there's something we're going to learn 100 years from now there's something going on with the frequency of sound, right?
Also, how am I supposed to dance without music? So there we go.
There, you nailed it. There's no fun without it. Dancing's fun.
I can live without television. You can go to the theater. You can go see live shows. I can live without television.
No, but you know what? Joe Rogan said it once, and it's always sat with me. You ever see those plates where they pour sand on it, and then they'll put sound vibrations through it, and it makes, like, depending on the sound, it makes a different, like, art form on it. So Joe Rogan's like, well, if that's doing that to sand, that's clearly doing that to inside your body.
Well, yeah.
So
it's called vibrations.
Right. So he's got
Did no one watch that episode of the Magic School Bus?
I must have. I loved Magic School Bus.
It was the haunted house one. You got to go watch it. It's all about sound and how sound is vibrations. And the higher the sound, the quicker it's vibrating. The lower the sound, the slower it's vibrating.
And so the theory is the reason why, like, okay, how come this does nothing for you? I'm just sitting here hitting my cup.
I mean, it's really freaking annoying if that's...
Right, and why is it annoying you and not making you want to jam? So the theory is that, like, part of it is why some music we like and some music we don't is that there's something internally, like it's a massage, like it's physically doing something to us. I don't know what it is, but it's crazy to me that music has been a thread through all of humanity. Some form of music has been always throughout humanity. And what is it about humans, especially now more than ever? When technology is at its highest, we want music at its most. We want it at its easiest. We want it, like, all of this. So it's like, what is it about music that makes us, just every human loves some form of music and can't go without it? And so, dude, this pen needs to be glued to my palm. I'm just throwing it. No, but I'm just curious, like, what is it about music? But clearly there's something about music, and that's why we can go without television, but we can't go without music.
Because there are other ways to get the form of entertainment that television produces, but there is no substitute for music. Like, in the valley, if somebody took my TV away and said, you don't get television for the rest of your life, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to go see my local community put on a performance of ragtime. And I'll still get to see human beings perform. Because at the end of the day, television, movies, plays, musicals, they're all about stories. And they're all about showing us stories, performing stories, living stories. So I don't care if it's through, the radio or if it's, then you can visualize a story in your head. I don't care if it's through a television set or you're on the stage performing for me. If you don't have music... I don't know.
No, I'm 100% with you, so I think that's a clear-cut answer, especially after you totally debunked why it isn't even a question. All right, so last question I got for you is, would you rather lose all of your teeth or all of your hair? I know my answer off the get.
I'd rather lose all of my hair because then I can wear wigs.
Nailed it. I 100% agree with you.
And dude, some wigs out there are so cute. Like,
it's true too.
I could have any hairstyle I want any day because I could have like an endless supply of wigs.
Hey, but you could have dentures.
Yeah, but...
I'm sorry. They're
but wigs, wigs have so much more creativity and, like,
that's true
one day
too.
I could be, like, a redhead and the next day I could be a blonde. I look terrible as a blonde, but, like... I was Cinderella once for, like, in high school, like, I did, like, princess parties and stuff, so I was Cinderella once and I had to put a blonde wig on and I was like, I look hideous. So, I would probably always stick with, like, the darker colors, but, you could go, I could be, like, curly, I wouldn't have to worry about even doing my hair. Like, do you know how long it takes to dry and straighten this? Like, too long. So, wigs. I would rather lose all of my hair. I'm
with you, especially for me.
No, wait. Am I losing all of this hair or, like, all of my hair?
I'm losing all of my hair. All of your hair or all of your teeth. But
then I also wouldn't ever have to worry about shaving ever again.
Nailed it. And for a girl, that's like a killer.
I was like, shaving takes an extra, 5 to 7 minutes that I don't need to
Back to what we were talking about at the beginning with Atkins and everything. Another thing guys are shamed for is their legs not being hairy enough. There's some guys where it's like, oh, your hair's that. It's like,
are you a swimmer?
You just can't. Yes. Are you a swimmer? And guys like, no, puberty just hates me. And then they're like, swipe left. Boop. Not.
Okay, I guess I don't care enough because I'm like, I don't care if you have hair or not. Too much hair, I'm gonna be like, are you 8 man?
Now that I agree with. Like at some point, it's like even I.
Also, the chest hair, I'm like, if you're like certain someone that I think we both know that I'm thinking of, and I'm like.
Yeah, stop being so hairy. No, but for me, I cannot deny that the first and only thing I see when I see people are their teeth. Yeah, I was talking with Mike at dinner this past weekend, Mike Cadigan. I was like, when I'm talking with someone, they say if you look into the middle of their face to a person, they see you looking them in the eyes. I will look at people's teeth, and fortunately, it still looks like you're looking at their eyes, but you're just like Caroline. Caroline's teeth are perfect, and the whole time I look at Caroline, I'm like,
that's because
Caroline.
I still wear my retainer. I got my braces off.
Me too. Right there by my bed.
17, I still wear my retainer.
Damn straight.
And I got my teeth whitened last summer, so.
And that's why your teeth are perfect. So, yes, your teeth are not perfect. And second question, yes, I am judging you. So, again, I'm going to go with you. I'd rather lose all my hair and still have my smile.
And what do they call it? First of all, you can draw on your eyebrows, but there's like a... you could probably get a tattoo.
They do that now.
I forget what it... there's like a procedure where like if you have like the hair but like they're not full enough, you can get like... They really like... It's like a
cuticles,
tattoo.
Plugs.
What are they called?
Plugs.
Oh, no, they're not plugs. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, haven't you heard people getting plugs in their head?
What the hell
Bald people getting plugs?
Microblading. No, I'm talking about your eyebrows, microblading. It's like, literally, it's like giving you, like, semi-permanent, like, tattoos. Like, they literally, like, I think it's like they, like, cut into you and they fill it in with ink.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a tattoo where they, like, I have 3, where they, like, take a needle and they inject you with ink. Like,
I agree with, at that point, when that science exists, I'm keeping my teeth.
Yep.
I don't know,
because the dentures fall out. Fun fact, did you know at water parks at Walt Disney World, the most commonly found lost items are retainers and dentures. So, like, when you go in a water park, or, like, you go down a slide or you're in the wave pool, those are the things that are lost the most in a water park. So, I'd rather keep my teeth. Yeah.
Wow. Holy cow. Yo, Caroline, I'm looking at the time here. Wayne was the longest podcast, and it was because we had one giant topic to hit, and we barely even cracked the surface. How do you talk about guns in 2 hours?
Wayne could talk about...
went literally about Atkins bars. So listen, Tubby, you're getting your candy bar, and yeah. But, again... The food pyramid's all messed up. They changed it.
You brought that up and we didn't even talk about it.
I still put it on the screen. That's what I'm going to do. Because there's a picture that I wanted you to see. Look at how... It's not even the same thing anymore.
What the hell is a legume?
I don't even... Hey, but it's at the bottom of the pyramid now.
I knew what a legume is. I'm not, like, stupid.
It's a bean
it's like a bean.
of sort. Anyway... Listen, Caroline, you've been an amazing guest. This was a great conversation. We've had a great time.
I did. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So get excited because the Browns and Ravens game discussion in the NFL's coming up with Terrell coming on the next episode. And again, Caroline, I can't thank you enough. This was great.
Thank you. I had fun.
Please share this video if you had a good time and you enjoyed yourself. Don't be afraid to like us because I'm not going to take offense to it. And
release those endorphins. Come on, guys.
Release mine. I'm sitting here like a crackhead. Like, please, they won't like me. Just like me. Like us on Facebook as well, and don't forget to follow our new Twitter account. Awesome. Caroline, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Peace.